Hi, my name is Annabelle and I'll be hosting this interview today. First of all, thank you for being here, Jennifer, and if you could please introduce yourself and give a brief background about your work.
Hi Annabelle, thank you for having me today. As you said, my name is Jennifer and I'm a medical doctor and currently in my research year.
Can you please give us more details about your research and what the topic of it is about?
So currently I'm working on an artificial intelligence project for the radiographic assessment and evaluation for musculoskeletal diseases. So to explain it very short, we clinicians use radiographs for certain measurements, assessing ranges, but also doing classifications and I think overall a clinical analysis. So just thinking about this huge amount of information that is contained within such a plain radiograph, you can imagine that it takes quite a long time to go through all these steps to analyze and see the whole radiograph as a complete assessment, and that consumes quite a lot of time of our daily work routine. So I think that artificial intelligence might give us the possibility to some kind of outsource this task and focus more on more complex tasks, but in my opinion also the most important thing, to focus on more personalized medical care.
That's very interesting. Thank you for introducing us. How long is this research supposed to take place now?
The research year is going to be for a minimum of 1 year, but I think that research should be omnipresent in all scientific fields, because that's how we improve science on a daily basis. And therefore, as soon as I start my clinical training, I will continue as clinical scientist and continue also the work on artificial intelligence, because I think it's a long-term project.
Yeah, of course, and with technologies evolving so much, there's a lot more to learn, I'm sure.
Indeed.
And in regard to the data, which data do you use to analyze in your research, and which instruments and tools do you use?
So we focus on simple X-rays, and these radiographic images are annotated, measured, labeled, validated, so it has to go through many steps, and therefore we use a couple of tools to also be able to compare the performance of the AI software with currently used tools, so that we can say, okay, see, is it more precise? Is it more accurate? And does it give any benefit? And that are the reasons why a clinician would choose to work with an AI software.
And what is the balance between these AI softwares and the more traditional tools that you use?
I think it's important to see this kind of technology as a synergistic and complementary add-on to our daily workflow. And AI or any technology will never replace a physician. We should just take it as an add-on and as a complementary tool for our clinical work. And I think one of the most important things is that based on this very promising deep learning and process of algorithms, an algorithm can see, or it actually works on pixels, so it might see informations or cross-linkages, connections within the picture, which we clinicians weren't aware of or wouldn't see, because that's how an AI software works, a little bit in a black box, what's hard to understand. But I think that is a very promising thing, and we have to look deeper into it.
Yeah, for sure. Could you please also describe the problems or challenges that you face doing this type of work?
I think the biggest challenge is indeed to ensure the highest standard, so that a clinician would choose an AI software over, for example, a automatic software or a manual planning. And therefore we work in a team with different specialities, with technical engineers, with programmers, with clinicians, and to get everyone on the same page, it's kind of a task. But there's so many people with good ideas, with very progressive ideas, and so I think we can benefit from each other and get the best outcome. What is maybe not a challenge, but I think it's important to mention is the data acquisition. With the digitalization, data acquisition is there because all images are available in a digital form. That's how we work nowadays. But we are talking about personal information, and I think we have to be aware of that and to ensure the highest security and the highest privacy of this data. Yeah, I think that's an overall problem of digitalization, not just in the medical system.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned having the highest standard. Could you please elaborate on what this means to you in your work?
Yeah, definitely. I think, in my opinion, an AI software should at least work as accurate, as precise, as fast as the average performance of a physician. So otherwise a physician wouldn't choose to work with something comparable to my own work or to my own performance. So I think that's the highest standard, to be very accurate, to be reproducible, to be fast, and to be reliable.
Yeah. And before we also touched upon more using traditional methods versus now newer methods. In your opinion, how will you be able to achieve the right balance between conservative and progressive approaches?
Yeah, I think that's actually what my main task in this project is. So I know the conservative approach, or I learned the conservative approach, and here I'm learning a very progressive approach, and also something where you have to let it happen and to see what works, what doesn't work. So in which exact way it will work out and how we can implement, I think that's something you have to ask my future me. But I see a lot of potential that it can work synergistic, and yeah.
So your research will contribute to finding this balance then?
I hope so. I mean, we are all digital natives, so we grew up with our smartphones. We all have our tools that work automatically for everything. So I think it's also a progress to implement this in a medical system. Yeah, so I hope I will contribute.
I'm sure you will. Well, thank you so much for giving us insights into your work and for being here today.
Thank you for having me.